we are, Stanton, Virginia. Staunton, Virginia. We are a couple hours away from Polyface Farm. We're going to stop and get some breakfast, and then we're going to head there.
So to give you a little bit of background on where we're heading today, we are on our way back from the Thanksgiving break. We had a lovely Thanksgiving stay and time with our daughter Jillian and her husband Matt, and now we're headed to something that we wanted to do this past summer and we're not able to, and this is located in Swoop, Virginia, and Andy's going to tell you a little bit about where we're going.
Well, we're heading to Polyface Farms. It is Joel Salatin's farm that he's been working on for the last 40 years. And he is a regenerative grass farmer. Grass farmer. He, has a lot of different ways and views on farming that are very beneficial for everything involved. Everything. We just lost our stuff.
What was that?
We don't have our suitcases blocking everything in, so it was a bin of tools that just tipped over. So.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Cut.
So yeah, he says he's a grass farmer because he needs to grow the best possible grass that he can, because that's what feeds his livestock, his cattle, his pigs, his whatever he's got there living. And we're gonna go check it out today. He's come up with a lot of inventive ways to house the animals, move the animals, and we're very interested in that. We're interested in everything he's doing. So we will check back with you after we learn some good stuff today.
So we will. Oh wow. Okay, reeling wrong. Lots of stuff in our car. We'll be back. Hopefully they will allow us to videotape our tour today. It's a 2-hour tour. And if not, we'll explain to you our experience later. Okay guys, we are on our way. And I think we just stumbled into heaven.
This is
we're not even following
amazingly
their
beautiful
typed directions.
And it's winter. Can you imagine if this was spring or
We're following GPS. So here, I'm going to flip this around. Hello. Look at this place.
This is picture
We're not even
perfect.
here yet. This is just the drive there.
We're 7 or 3 miles away. But this is what it's been like for the last 7 miles.
I hope y'all can see this. I think you can. But, wow.
I don't know if it'll do it justice. We're in the Shenandoah Valley.
I mean,
Bob Denver had it right. The first album I ever bought was Bob Denver.
John
Denver, sorry. Bob Denver's Gilligan. Well, I like Bob Denver too, and his role in Gilligan is Gilligan.
John Denver.
The first album I ever bought with my own money. 1975.
Oh, wow. Just absolutely breathtaking.
Yeah. It just goes on and on.
It's so quiet, and it's a beautiful, bright, sunny day. I think we're just going to bring you along. It just goes on and on. Oh my God.
definitely the way you bring your folks in to see your place.
Yeah. Maybe we won't film later. It's just too good to put this down.
We got plenty of time.
I mean,
See it from this
look
way?
at this.
Oh yeah, see it from this way, baby. Turn back a little bit.
Wow. Oh my God. It doesn't take much for me to be impressed. I just have an appreciation for so many things, but it is just breathtaking. Okay, we are arriving to heaven. Bliss.
We're not sure. This could be part of his property.
Could be.
We're now on a gravel road.
A little bumpy. Sorry, I don't have a tripod to straighten this, but I think it's still doing justice. So his whole family lives here, guys. I believe, if I'm understanding correctly. He does internships here, but then his whole family lives here. Oh my God, look at that. Wow. Look at that. Oh my God, it's gorgeous. Wow, are we supposed to drive this way? It's a very narrow road, you can see. Hello.
How in the world did this parents find this place back in the 60s?
Is that what it was?
Imagine this in the 60s.
I got a little window
Looks
up.
exactly the same.
Sorry for the dirty window. Wow, look at that. Like, is that a creek or I don't know what that is that runs through here. Just
Yeah,
little man-made
meanders
creeks,
through.
maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, imagine what this looked like in the 60s. Oh, it's just exactly what it looks like today. These houses are so much age on them. But that's all this stuff there.
I would imagine. So let me look at her directions.
No, this is going to be it.
Well, she also says, well, yeah, because we're going to
350 feet away.
we're going to the store. Okay, so this must be the store over there. There's the store.
Yeah, here's this edge of the property through the bridge here. We gotta get the sign.
Look at this beautiful creek.
Get the sign in front.
Oh, where? Oh, Polyface. Okay, it is. So hold on, let's take a picture. Where's the camera?
Can we get closer? Can't tell.
Hold on. Okay, got it. Now let me get the whole place and the sign in the background.
Probably
Hey,
chicken
guys.
tractors.
The chickens are away for the winter. Look at all of them. So cute. There's more over here. Hello. So this is the store. Polyface Farm of many faces. Love it.
All right, so here we're going to talk about what we do with the cows in the winter when it's time to feed hay. Okay, so our grass goes dormant typically in October. That's when it stops growing, so we have passed that point. But we still have a lot of grass out there. So what we do is we continue to rotate the cows on pasture, moving them every day as we do in the warmer months, moving them every day on into the winter until we run out of grass, and then we feed hay. This year we did not start feeding hay until mid-January. Now, when you feed hay to the cows, it's perfectly fine to feed hay to the cows on the pasture in the winter. The problem with feeding hay to the cows on the pasture in the winter is you lose a large part of the nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, the fertilizer, out of their urine and manure due to evaporation and runoff. The problem here is not frozen ground. We don't freeze solid here in the winter. The problem is dormant ground. The plants are not growing. The organisms and microorganisms that metabolize nutrients in the soil, they're dormant in the winter as well. So fine, feed hay to the cows in the pasture, but if you're putting fertilizer, urine and manure, on soil that's dormant, the plants are not going to take in the nutrients, the organisms aren't taking them in, you're going to lose some of your nutrients, your fertility. We don't like to lose fertility here, and we like to make our lives easier we just like to make our lives easier. So what we do when it's time to feed hay to the cows is we bring the cows off of pasture and into the barns for the specific purpose of collecting their urine and manure in what we call a carbonaceous diaper on the floor of the barn, so we can lock in those nutrients in the diaper for the winter and hold them there until a later time, and then spread it onto the field after the grass has come out of dormancy. So how it works is, before the cows come in, that hay will not be there. We'll clean that out, and we'll put down the first layer of their diaper on the floor of the barn under the cover of the roof, which is a layer of wood chips. That's the first layer of our carbonaceous diaper. Wood chips goes down, cows go in. This section holds, maybe 40 cows or so. That section holds 40 cows or so. And then we put cows in the barn down there as well, for a total of about 200 or so doing this job here in the winter. Each section will have access to like this lot out here. So this section will be able to come out here so they can get sunshine and stuff, but they cannot go out to the pasture. Okay, so wood chips, cows go in, they eat hay. We throw hay down from that pile into those wooden bunkers. This board right here, I'll just point it out and I'll put that. This board right here will be removed so the cows can stick their heads in there and eat.
Okay.
So cows go in, eat hay, poop, pee, and trample on the diaper. As soon as the diaper gets a little bit wet, maybe 4 days, maybe 7 days, it just depends, we put another layer down, this time corn and wood chips. The corn is not for the cows because we do not feed corn to cows here. So,
the pigs.
Yeah, so if you don't already know what it's for, I'm going to tell you in a
That's
minute.
cool.
Yeah. So corn, wood chips, cows come in, eat hay, poop, pee, and trample on the diaper. As soon as the diaper is a little bit wet again, we put another layer down, this time plain wood chips. Cows go in, eat hay, poop, pee, and trample on the diaper. As soon as it's wet again, we put another layer down, this time old or junky hay. Cows go in, eat hay, poop, pee, and trample on the diaper, and then we repeat the cycle. So next time corn, wood chips, next time wood chips, next time hay. Corn, wood chips, hay. Layer upon layer upon layer, as long as the cows are in here for the winter.
So 40 cows in here, how long before you got to add each layer?
Depends, 4 to 7 days or something. Yeah. Roughly. Okay? Now, cows are heavy creatures, so as they walk on this bedding, they push out all the oxygen, creating an anaerobic environment, and that corn in there starts to ferment. Okay, so this goes on all winter long. In the spring, as soon as there's enough grass for the cows to eat, we put them back out. This year, it was mid to late March. Cows go back out. Pigs go in. What are the pigs doing?
They're rooting for the corn.
Yeah. So the pigs can smell that corn that's been fermenting in there all winter, and they get busy digging and rooting for it, thereby introducing oxygen to what was an anaerobic poop cake, creating an aerobic composting system. We call it piggerating, aerating, but with pigs. So
Okay.
they go in, eat all this corn. By the time they're done, this is fully composted and ready to be spread onto the fields. By this time, it's late spring or early summer. So pigs go, then we'll put the pigs out. Then we'll come in with the front end loader, scoop up all this, put it in manure spreader, and spread it all over the fields. By this time, again, it's late spring or early summer, so the grass is growing. It's out of dormancy, so it will accept those nutrients. And not only are we putting out there all that urine and manure we saved from the cows, we're also putting out there all that additional organic matter in the form of the wood chips and some junky hay. So we're getting more bang for our fertility buck. This is the heart of the fertility program at Polyface. And between the daily moves of the cows, rotation of poultry on the land, this is a major way we've been able to increase our organic matter from 1% to 8% in just 60 years. Okay, these are on a pulley system. These feed bunkers here. The cranks are down there in the middle. So as this bedding gets thicker, we can raise these up so the cows are eating comfortably. Other questions about this?
What does it take to pull the pulley system? You have it on a tractor? Or?
There's crank.
Oh, just like
No.
winch cranes? Okay.
Yeah, you can see there's one there on the right side in the middle, and there's one there on the left side. You just crank them by hand.
Okay.
And then a couple people stand here and
Just help them along?
Help
Yeah.
them along, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah, they're just hand cranks. You could that right down there.
Oh, I see them now. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, just...
Oh, hello. I see it now.
You see it now? That I'm looking at it? Okay.
The other one is here. And we've laid 1.25 polyethylene pipe from up there to down here around every field with periodic valves where you can hook your water source up to. Gravity is then our free source of energy. So, well, that's the end of the line right there. But we call this thing a blound. It's black and round. And this is a blound cover.
All
And
right.
usually there's a marker on the fence, like a cow tag, to,
So you can ID it
yeah,
when it's
so that who's ever,
grown over in the summertime?
well, just so that whoever's moving the cows knows where the water source is. Look at this.
There we go.
What are your pastures primarily made up of?
Oh, we don't feed them.
Okay.
We have never seeded,
Okay.
so they are made up of what is here.
Okay.
So it's going to be fescues. You have some orchard grass, chemically, a lot of broadleaf, like plantain, a lot of clover, typically, and a bunch of other stuff.
Have you read any of the studies on how fescue is actually prohibiting the growth of the broadleaves and limiting the growth of...
Personally, I have not, but if you would talk to Joel about that, he would probably have more information on that than I would. It doesn't bother.
Kind of what I've been reading about for the last 6 months is because we wanted to start some pastures.
Yeah.
Or us for pastures is kind of the 15-foot wide strips between our apple trees and fruit trees and fuel
Well,
culture and all that kind of stuff we got going on.
after all these years, the mix of grass is not a problem for the Salatin.
Gotcha.
So they are fine with the salad bar that we get here.
Yeah, some always are missing areas, but then they're not overgrazing the area either.
No, that's just because of the way we rotate them and stuff like that. And we'll kind of talk about that up here.
Now, are you baling your own hay?
Yeah.
Did you do that? Okay. And that's out of the same fields that they're grazing in throughout the year? Or
That's
different
right.
fields?
Thank you. We grow so much grass here that we can graze and make hay in the same field multiple times in the same field.
Okay. Oh, so that's really where it is.
That is.
Okay, cool. Look at that. Get a picture of that.
What?
This is where they were yesterday.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So they've
That is amazing.
They
Okay.
came down here.
Oh, look at that. Yeah, you can definitely see a difference.
Oh my God, yeah, totally. Huh. It's working.
And I'm assuming they're going to move here as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright. How's everybody doing? How you doing? All right. Okay, we're going to talk about beef here. We do beef. We do not do dairy. We do 100% grass-fed, grass-finished beef. No grain ever for the cows. The cow's digestive system was not designed to digest grain, so we do not feed it to them here. Grass only for the cows. More conventional farmers do feed grain to cows because it's a cheap way to get cows fatter faster, but it does mess up their digestive systems, creating problems, sickness, acidosis, whatever. So we just don't do grain for the cows here, grass only. What we like to do with our animals, especially our cows, is mimic nature in how we manage them. So in the case of the cow is an herbivore. So we are looking to see how herds of wild herbivores behave, so we can mimic that here. So what's a good example of a herd of wild herbivores?
A herd? Well, I guess like the deer or the elk.
Deer, elk, yeah. Buffalo.
Bison?
Bison, yeah.
Buffalo? I don't know.
Buffalo.
Herd, wild herds of them? West, I guess? I don't know.
A few, yeah. Buffalo, bison, moose, caribou, wildebeest in Africa, all kinds of stuff. So, let's think about the bison. What we notice about bison is they stay in a herd and they're always moving, right? Why do the herbivores in the wild stay in a herd?
Oh, protect us from predators.
Yeah, protection.
Oh, okay.
So we want to mimic this mobbing, staying in a herd, moving. Herbivores in the wild also always move. What happens if you are a wildebeest in Africa and you just stand around?
You get eaten.
Picked off.
You're gonna get eaten. Yeah. So we want to mimic this mobbing, staying in a herd, moving, mowing behavior of the herbivores in the wild. The herbivores are eating grass, so they're mowing as well. So mobbing, moving, mowing, that's the behavior we want to mimic with our cows. But we don't have any natural predators here for our cows to keep them in a herd and keep them moving. So the way we do that here is using the single strand of electrified fence wire. This here is our predator. This is how we keep our cows in a herd and keep them moving. So we only give our cows enough grass for one day at a time, and we move them every single day. It takes an average of an hour a day to move the herd. I did it by myself every day for 6 years, which means it's easy and anybody can do it. So what's typically involved in moving the cows is coming out with a stack of portable fence stakes like these, a reel of portable fence wire like this. We figure out how much area the cows need for one day. Could be 1 acre, could be 2, could be 5, could be 10, that depends. I'm going to come back to how we figure out that in a little while. So come out with your stakes and your reel, figure out how much area the cows need for one day. Once you figure out how much area they need for one day, then you have to figure out where to put the fence so that they have that much area. This requires geometry. Do either of y'all remember what the formula for the area of a rectangle is? Here it
For
is.
everything, length times width.
Yeah, that's it. Length times width. So let's say we need 1 acre today. 1 acre is roughly 5,000 square yards. This is a bit of a weird setup here. Let's just ignore this fence right here. Let's say from that permanent, just for my sake of argument, let's say we need to set up a 1 acre paddock right here. 1 acre is roughly 5,000 square yards. Let's say from that permanent fence there to the permanent fence on the other side, let's say it's 100 yards this way. From here, how far do we need to go that way to set up our next fence to get 5,000 if it's 100 this way?
50.
Yeah. So, if we need 5,000 square yards, 1 acre, and it's 100 yards this way, from here go 50 yards and put up your next fence. And then you've roughly got 1 acre in here because 50 width times 100 length is 5,000. Okay? So, come out with your stakes and your reel, figure out how much area they need, figure out where to put up the fence, put up your fence. When you're ready to move the cows, you call them. We say cowee. You can say whatever you want, but that's what we say here. When they come over, you're going to take their reel, which is at the other side. You're going to take the reel, you're going to open it up a little bit. They're going to walk through. You're going to close the reel behind them, and then you're going to take down their old fence. So on most days, you're putting up a fence and taking down a fence, only giving them enough for 1 day at a time, marching them right down the field. Okay, so this is called mob stocking or managed grazing. Mob because they're in a mob and that's how we're stocking them. Managed grazing because we're literally managing their grazing on a daily basis. What you see on most of the farms around us, that's called open or continuous grazing. That's where cows have access to large areas of land for long periods of time. So the question is, why bother with this? You know, I have to come out here and do this hour of work every day, which I enjoyed. It's fresh air, sunshine, exercise, animals, nature. I like that for a job, but you still have to do it. So the question is, why? Well, there are major benefits to a system like this compared to an open or a continuous grazing system. And before we can start to understand the benefits of this, we first need to know a little bit about grass. So, first, what you see happening above the ground is a reflection of what's happening below the ground. So as this grows up towards the sky, the roots grow down deeper into the ground. When something mows this like a lawnmower or an herbivore, the roots shrink up under the ground. They basically slough off under there so that the depth of the root matches the height of the blade. Now, if this is allowed to rest, meaning no more bites, the cycle starts again. This starts to absorb energy from the sun and grow up, and the roots grow down deeper into the ground. But the key here is rest, no more bites. Okay? Next thing we need to know about grass is the growth rate. So, if you were to graph the growth rate of grass, you get an S-curve. Grass grows in an S-curve rate. This is an S, just have to go with it. Grass grows in an S-curve rate, meaning when grass is short, it has a very slow rate of growth. That's this part of the curve. Joel calls this diaper stage grass. It's very slow growing at this stage, which makes sense because you don't have much blade. You don't have much surface area to collect sunlight, not much root depth to get all the other stuff. So grass is very slow growing here. Then when grass gets a little older and a little taller, the growth rate really accelerates. That's this part of the curve. Joel calls this teenage stage grass. Then when grass gets even older and even taller, it slows down or stops growing. Joel calls this nursing home stage grass. So we can manage for these grass factors here, but what's happening in an open or a continuous grazing system is a few things that are negative. One, overgrazing to the point of decreasing biodiversity in the fields. The cows will overgraze their favorite plants to death. So cows have plants they like better than other plants. Let's call their favorite plant the ice cream plant. And let's say that's this. And let's say we're over there in an open or a continuous grazing system and somebody takes a bite of the ice cream. And the next day another bite, day after day, bite after bite, until what happens to this plant?
Plant's dead.
They kill it, yeah. So they're overgrazing the more favorable species to death, leaving less favorable species in the field. Now you want biodiversity in the field. Biodiversity is good because different plants have different nutritional profiles, carbs, proteins, vitamins, minerals, even medicinal properties.
Yeah.
So biodiversity here is good. So in this case, by comparison, here they may go in and eat the ice cream first, but there's nowhere else to go for that day. So they're also going to eat some broccoli and some Brussels sprouts, etc. And then the very next day we're going to move them off. So they can't come back here and take any more bites. Now this rests a minimum of 21 days before we put the cows back. 21, it's usually a lot longer than that here in the growing season between when we regraze a field. 21 is just a baseline number, minimum, both for grass regrowth and parasite mitigation. So parasites can't survive outside of a host. We don't medicate, vaccinate, deworm our animals. We do other things. So one thing you can do here is to prevent parasite infestation is move the host. So the idea is if parasites have been deposited here, move the animal. So that now, and now this rests a minimum of 21 days, so ideally any parasites die before you put the host back. 21 is just the very minimum, so don't get hung up on that number. Questions? Comments?
They're wondering why we gathered here and gathered them all here together.
We herded
They're
them.
waiting for something special tree or something. Look at them. They don't want to move.
No, they still make decent grass.
Yeah, they do.
You just want, no. I have a buddy in here. Where is my buddy?
So I'm wondering, why is there one outside?
Where?
Back there. Looks like there's one outside the wire.
No, the wire goes across. Do you see it?
I see it going across, but it looks like it goes behind. No?
No.
Do you see it in front? Okay.
Yeah. It's in front of them.
Okay.
Their water tank is over there. So
Okay.
this paddock is going over there so they can get to the water.
They're so
Sometimes
cute.
There's one out. So
Look at them just looking at us. Like this one right here. He's just been eyeing me.
Oh, my buddy.
What's your buddy's name?
I don't know his name. My buddy here?
Oh, look at that one looking up.
That's not
Oh,
middle
he's
there.
looking up. Is that him?
No. Did he go somewhere else?
There he is.
One kind of walking
There's two. There's two looking up now.
He's unmistakable. He's
Look
got
at that.
horns.
Look at this one looking. Hi there. Hi guys, girls.
So different ages in here, huh? 1 and 2 year old, or
Yeah. We,
I see some are much larger.
yeah. So this is a hodgepodge herd.
Okay.
This is usually our finishers. But right now we have a bunch of animals we just bought.
Look at this one laying down.
So, I don't know where my buddy is. I don't know where my buddy is. He's sitting down. I can't see him.
Hello.
Okay, next major problem in an open or a continuous grazing system is just overgrazing in general. So on a lot of these farms around us, all over the place, what you'll see is you'll see cows out in the field for weeks, months, and years on end, eating until eventually the whole field gets stuck in diaper stage. That in and of itself is a problem because your grass is always stuck in its least efficient growth stage and it can't get out because it's never getting a chance to rest. Other problems with this are erosion problems because your root depth is compromised, and parasite problems because parasites tend to stay within 1.5 inches of the soil. So the harder you force your animals to eat to the soil, the more susceptible they are to parasites. So here by comparison, hopefully you did your calculation right so that when you move the cows off for the day, you left it in teenage stage. Meaning it's in its fastest growth stage, it's going to come back faster. Meaning you left some root depth for soil stability, aeration, all the things roots do. Meaning you didn't force the animals to eat where the parasites are, so less parasite load. Also, leaving some just protects the soil, keeps moisture in, literally keeps the earth cooler, provides shade for the next seasonal grasses, which may come up underneath and would otherwise scorch in the heat of the sun. So leaving some has benefits, and you can do that since you're managing what you're giving them on a daily basis. Questions on that?
Got it. Understand that. Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about fertility now. So the herbivore was gloriously designed to fertilize its own feed source. Herbivores eat grass, urine and manure fertilizes grass. It's like it was designed that way.
I know.
Mention that.
On that note, we all know how many, or want to take a guess, how many pounds of urine and manure come out the back end of a cow every day?
40.
Close, very close. 50.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
So now that's valuable fertility. 50
Sure.
pounds of urine and manure. That's valuable fertility that you want evenly distributed on the land. The problem in an open or a continuous grazing system is they're only covering maybe 10% of the land, because where do you see the cows every day, especially on a hot day?
In the shade.
Yeah, so if you go by the same farm every day, the cows are in the same shade every day.
Okay.
And what are they doing there? They're over urinating and manuring under the trees, killing everything under the trees, creating parasite problems under the trees. Or if they're allowed into water, they're doing the same thing there. Urinating and manuring to the water, putting too much nitrogen into the water, drinking the water, altering the chemistry of the water. In either case, they're neglecting the rest of the land, because basically what they're doing is they're eating and then they're going back to the shade to deposit the fertility. So they're putting all the fertility usually where the trees are at the edges of the field, neglecting the rest of the land. Here, we're covering more like 65% of the land because we only give the cows a small spot for the day. They move in, spread out evenly, poop and pee, and then the very next day we move them off to do it again. So do you see how that's more effective and efficient distribution of fertility on the land?
Yeah, absolutely.
We do have portable shade units called shade mobiles. When it's hot, we move that around with the cows. We'll park that in the field with them, and they will concentrate under that for that day. But only for one day, because the next day we move it, and we move them, and they can't get back to where they were concentrating the day before. So we'll park that thing in the middle of the field, so they're putting the fertility into the middle of the field. Okay. Hi there. How's everybody doing?
All right, let's get our
Starting to
picture.
leave now. They're going.
Okay, so now let's talk about how we figure out how much area to give them for one day. How do we figure out their paddock size? This is like a dinner party. If you're having a dinner party, you need to know how many people are coming, and hopefully everybody RSVP'd, so you prepare the appropriate amount of food. The variables are number of people and amount of food based on portion size. Okay? It's the same thing here. It's the same thing here. We need to know the number of animals and the amount of grass on the ground. So we use 2 units of measurement. For the number of animals, the unit of measurement is called the cow equivalent. 1 cow equivalent is equal to 1 full-size cow because they eat the most. So you could have, say, 120 animals in your herd, but only 100 cow equivalents, because some of your animals are smaller and they don't eat as much. So if kids are coming to your dinner party, you might not be preparing full adult portions for the itty-bitty kids. Okay? That's the cow equivalent. For the amount of grass on the ground, the unit of measurement is called cow days per acre of the grass. Cow days per acre. That is, how many cow equivalents will 1 acre feed for one day? Cow days per acre. So for example, and pay attention because we are going to do some problems in a minute. For example, here he comes.
Oh, your friend?
Yeah. Hey, Betty. That's him with the horn.
Oh, wow.
Come on. Come say hi. Okay, so for example, I got to keep going. For example, if we have 100 cow day grass, that means 1 acre will feed 100 cow equivalents for one day. Okay? Knowing this amount is experience and observation. There are measuring tools. You don't need them. We don't use them here. You don't need them. So, for example, let's say you move the cows in at 4 p.m. That should take them to 4 p.m. the next day. But you come out at 8 a.m. in the morning just to check on them next morning. Looks like a golf green. Whoops. I did not give them enough space. The grass was not as good as I thought it was. I thought the grass was 75 cow day grass, but it was only 45 cow day grass. I just misjudged the grass. Fine. Move them early. Make their next paddock bigger. That's going to come back now. You're letting it rest. Or the opposite happens. You come back after 1 full day at 4 p.m.
Did they ever get spooked and bolt through the wire?
I'm not going to say never. But
Okay.
so the opposite happens. You come out after 1 full day and it looks like they've barely touched it. Oh, I gave them too much space for that day. The grass was better than I thought it was. I thought it was 50 cow day grass, but it was really 85 cow day grass. There was more grass. Fine. Move them anyway. Make their next paddock smaller. Or if there's enough, leave them for one day and then make their next paddock smaller. So figuring out your cow days per acre of the grass is really going to happen pretty quickly just based on doing it. Observation and experience. Okay? Okay. So let's do some problems, and I gave you the answer to this first one, so this one's easy. Let's say we're going to move the cows today, and we have 100 cow equivalents in the herd and 100 cow day grass. How big of a paddock do we need for one day?
1 acre.
Yeah. 100 cow equivalents divided by 100 cow day grass. Let's say we have more grass, so it's thicker, it's lusher, it's taller. 200 cow day grass, but still 100 cow equivalents. How big?
Big?
Yeah. 100 cow equivalents divided by 200 cow day grass. Let's say we have less grass.
Here he comes.
So 50 cow day grass, but still 100 cow equivalents. How big of a paddock for one day?
Give it a move away.
Oh, look at him standing up over there. Oh no, I see what they're doing. Never mind.
So 100 cow equivalents, but 50 cow day grass. How big of a paddock for one day?
I wasn't paying attention, Teach. Was it 50,
100
50 cow day, 2
so-
acres?
Yep. Hi, friend. How you doing? I think you do have a name, but Daniel won't tell you. Warning, okay? Don't scratch it. There you go.
So why the horns only on the one?
We have horns on a few out there.
I see them
We
now.
don't prefer horns, but we don't dehorn them. you
Is
know?
that just on the breed, or is it the horns are removed? Or?
It's the breed. We don't
Okay.
remove horns. Some people do.
Oh, I see another one back there.
Yeah, there's another one over there too.
Some people do it.
Yeah.
Look it right between the eyes, huh? Not on the horn. These are
That's funny. He
lead.
came all the way from there. Or she came all the way from
Mm-hmm. He
These
knows
are
her.
lead animals, so he has leadership skills. Which means I thought he was dead. I hadn't seen him for 2 years. I thought he had gone to butcher.
Oh.
But then he just showed up, and I was like, "You're not dead." And then he turns out he's a leader. So
Aw.
we keep the leaders as long as they're leading. We keep them. Can I have a snoop? Yeah. Just a small snoop? Okay, I'll see you later. We can't dilly dally. Thanks for coming up.
This one. Because it's so.
Hatch, pigs dig, and they both have chemically hot manure. So we don't want them doing these activities on dormant land because they can do more harm than good in the winter at the numbers that we keep here. So laying hens and pigs go into barns and hoop houses for the winter. So that's where they are now. But in the warmer months, this here is a pig paddock. We keep pigs in the forested or semi-forested parts of the farm only, enclosed with either a single strand or a double strand of electric fence wire close to the ground. Those two bottom strands are for pigs when they're in there. The top strand is for cows when they're in here. We do not breed pigs here, we buy pigs. So we buy little weaned pigs, you know, about that big, in groups of about 35 to 50, and the first thing we do is put them in the barn in order to train them to electric fence. You can't put pigs out here and expect them to respect us if they don't know what it is. So we put them into the barn, we'll string up a fence across one end of their enclosure. We put a little spring on their training fence, a metal spring on the training fence so it has some give, some bounce. Otherwise they're going to break it during the training. If it's just a solid fence, they're going to touch it, break it, and you're going to have to come out and fix it over and over again and lose your sanity doing so. But if it's got a spring on it, it will bounce when they touch it and not break. So, training in the barn. Once they're good and trained, we put them out here into a paddock. Pigs stay in a paddock typically for however long it takes them to eat 2 tons of feed, or a maximum of 10 days. It usually takes them 7 to 10 days. 2 tons of feed or a max of 10 days. Now during this time that the pigs are in a paddock, they do a disturbance to the land because pigs tear stuff up. The disturbance pigs do is actually similar to a healthy forest fire. So forest fires are normal, natural parts of the forest ecosystem. They have many benefits, including helping to prevent wildfires. So what a forest fire does is it burns up your underbrush, which is your fuel. If you have too much fuel and that ignites, That'll light all the trees on fire and everything in its way, and you got a wildfire. So ideally, a forest fire burns up your underbrush, which is your fuel. Forest fires put down fertility in the form of ash. Forest fires help kill bug infestations. Forest fires wake up seeds. So some trees can't reproduce without the heat of a fire to open up the seed, such as the sequoia out in California and other pine trees. So we can agree that a forest fire is a disturbance to the land, but forests come back healthier after. Pigs do a similar disturbance. They deal with your underbrush. Eat it, trample it, root it. They put down fertility in the form of urine and manure. They help with bug infestations, possibly because they eat bugs. They're omnivores. They also aerate the soil, maybe helping seeds come up to germinate. So during the 7 to 10 days that pigs are in a paddock, they do a disturbance to the land. Healthy disturbance. But if you leave them too long in one spot, they'll go from disturbance to destruction. So that's why we keep pigs moving on a regular basis. Now, not only is an empty feeder a good timing mechanism for when it's time to move, it can also be used as incentive to help us get them to move, since pigs don't like to be told what to do. So on moving day, they're hungry because their feeder's empty. So we come out with the tractor, we'll pick up their feeder, move it to the next paddock, fill it with feed. They can hear and smell that, and they're more easily convinced to move to the next paddock. The other thing we do to help us get pigs to move to the next paddock is we use physical barriers at the gate instead of electric gates. So see the wooden gates there? You could put an electric gate there and open it, but pigs can't see very well. So even if you open up an electric gate, they don't want to walk through because they don't trust that you actually took the fence down. With a physical barrier, you can open that up and it's easier to get pigs to walk through. Now, pig paddocks rest 3 to 6 months typically before we put pigs back. Less forested paddocks get a shorter rest, 3-ish months. More forested paddocks get a longer rest, 6-ish months. And that is an observe and see thing. So if the paddock comes back quicker, put the pigs back in sooner. Questions on pigs?
So all your paddocks are roughly the same size then?
Roughly.
Except, or do you have different sizes because some are less forested and more
Yes,
forested?
yes. So less forested paddocks are roughly about ½ acre in size. More forested paddocks are more like 2 to 4 acres in size.
Okay. And roughly how many pigs in a paddock?
35 to 50.
35 to 50?
Yeah.
Now as they start growing out, do they have to move them more often or?
Not
No.
necessarily.
Okay.
I mean, you can just observe and see that, but as they start getting bigger, we also start picking some off to go bushing
Okay.
when they're real big, you know.
Okay.
These are smaller paddocks. We set these paddocks up specifically as demonstration paddocks, just so we always have pigs here in the warmer months to show people. So these are probably running about a 1/4 to a 1/3 acre in size, and we don't put as many pigs in here. But our typical setup is about 35 to 50 on ½ acre paddocks, moving in less forested, 2 to 4 acre paddocks, and more forested. Other questions?
No.
So you can just drag it.
So essentially that bowl will fill up with water and help stabilize it, I guess?
No,
Oh no? Okay.
the pipe will be full of water, so it'll be
The pipe will
heavy, but
Gotcha, okay. So the ring is really just there to protect the head.
yeah.
Okay.
The Eggmobile, let's first think about the herbivores in the wild again. What other animal do you sometimes see hanging out with the herbivores in the wild? Like sitting on their backs.
Turkeys? No. Chickens?
Yeah.
Chickens, turkeys, birds,
There you go. Birds. What are the birds doing?
pooping and peeing.
Oh, they're eating insects.
Yeah.
Ticks
Oh,
and
yeah,
so forth,
okay.
yes.
That makes
They're
sense.
eating bugs and pests and things. So the birds are nature's pasture sanitizers. Birds help the herbivores in the wild deal with bugs and pests and things. So with your cows specifically, you need to deal with flies. Flies are an incredible nuisance and they carry pathogens and diseases, so you really want to minimize flies on cows. More conventional farmers use a variety of methods to keep flies off cows when they literally douse the cow in insecticide. We don't do that here. We don't want to poison our, we
Wow.
don't want to buy poison. We don't want to poison our animals or
Sure.
our food source or
Soil,
ourselves
yeah.
or the land, so we don't do that. Another way to keep flies off cows is with an insecticidal ear tag that keeps flies away from the face. Well, it's still insecticidal. At least it's only right there. But those things don't last very long. And you can't just walk up to a cow and say, "Excuse me, hold still, I need to change the tag." Yeah. You have to put them each into the head gate in the barn to change the tag, and that's a lot of work. If you have a lot of cows.
Sure.
So we don't do that. Another way to keep flies off cows is a pharmaceutical, an ingestible thing that keeps flies off. That's also poison. So we don't do that here. What we do here is we use the bird, like nature, to help clean up the pasture after the cows and to help minimize flies. So that's the purpose of the eggmobile. It's full of laying hens, a bird. And their number one job is cleaning up the pasture after the cows. Eggs are just a bonus that we can eat and sell. So how it works is we move the cows every day. We move the eggmobile every day or every other day following the cows. But we are a delay of about 3 days behind the cows. This delay gives the flies a chance to lay their eggs in the cow pie and for those eggs to hatch and become larvae. So how it works is we shut the chickens in at night. During the day, these doors are open.
Okay.
These doors are open and there's a ramp that goes out. So what we do is we shut the chickens in at night. In the morning we come out with the tractor, hook up to the unit, pull this thing to wherever the cows had been 3 days before, open up the doors. The chickens head out for breakfast. You have to shut the chickens in at night. You can't move this thing in the morning if they're out. Chickens are dumb. They won't follow you. So shut them in at night. In the morning, come out with the tractor, hook up, pull this thing to wherever the cows had been 3 days before, open up the doors. The chickens head out for breakfast. This has many benefits. One, they're getting a more well-rounded diet, which results in a more nutritious egg. We've had our eggs tested. More good cholesterol, more vitamins, minerals, nutrients, etc. That's because in addition to their feed, we do feed them grain. They're omnivores. Their feeders will be inside. But in addition to that, they're out eating bugs, grass, mice, snakes, whatever they can get, resulting in a more superior egg. Next and most important benefit is pasture sanitization. Ideally, they're eating the fly larvae out of the cow pie before it can turn into the fly, helping to minimize flies on cows. Next, when the chicken scratches through that cow pie looking for the fly larvae, they spread the cow pie out, which helps the ground absorb all those goodies and nutrients in the pie. And if a cow does have a parasite and they're depositing parasite eggs in the cow pie, when the chicken spreads the pie out, the sun can then fully take and kill those eggs. So they're also helping with parasite mitigation. Questions on this?
Do you have to do temporary fencing around the paddock for the chickens?
No, we do not. The idea with the eggmobile is we want them to cover as much area as possible of the field. They'll go 100 yards away-ish, covering about 2 acres a day, ideally, around the eggmobile. We don't want to fence them in because we want them to cover the most area possible.
Okay.
We don't recommend this for anything smaller than 50 acres, however, because on a small parcel of land, what can happen is these chickens start to become too familiar with their surroundings, and they'll start to home in places other than the eggmobile because they're not fenced in.
Gotcha.
So on a big piece of land like this, these chickens are moving so far, so often that the only thing familiar to them on a daily basis is this.
Okay.
So this is home. On smaller parcels of land, we recommend another type of management that includes netting, just to keep the chickens from homing where they aren't supposed to.
Okay.
So feeders, nest boxes are in here. We gather eggs every day in the afternoon, about 4 p.m. or so. Or Salatin, so the manure can just fall through. We don't have to scoop or scrape or clean. And you're getting a nice fertility dump right below this.
Sure.
Definitely,
2x2s
yeah.
for the floor? 1x2s?
1x2 that we mill
All
ourselves.
stuff that you mill yourself? All white oak or what material you're
This
using? Do
is
you know?
probably oak. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's white oak.
Okay.
Great idea. Right?
Yes. Living nature at its best.
This is
The ramp form that you just pull out.
yeah.
Now, what's the electronic looking thing there?
It's an automatic door opener closer.
Okay.
This one doesn't work, but I do recommend them.
And it's just on a timer, or is it dusk to dawn, or how
That
does
one's
that?
on a timer. You can get solar, but you don't need solar. I think solar is more expensive, and you know what time it's getting dark and getting light. And you just have to adjust it a couple times, you know, throughout the season.
And you're doing these on the pasture, how many months out of the year?
Oh, when the cows are out in the spring, the chickens go out. So March, mid to late March to, they just came in about a month ago.
Okay.
Okay, here's how we do the water. This will be on the ground. This is a float valve, so it's just filling up all the time. In this case, we have modified maple syrup tubing to carry water to the chickens. This allows you to have a lot longer length in a more manageable package. The idea with the eggmobile is you want to park it in the middle of the field, not by your water valves. All of our water valves are on the fence line. So sometimes you need a really long hose to get out into the middle of the field. This allows you to have a long hose. So you just go to the hardware store and buy these fittings. Chickens don't need a full flow hose, so this works for chickens. You could not fit nearly that much garden hose on that roof.
No, he wouldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. You get 3 times as much.
Maybe even more.
Yeah.
Mixer housings are laying in. They're on a deep wood chip bedding, which slowly composts over the winter because the chickens are putting manure down, moisture, and scratching it, introducing oxygen. So this bedding will slowly compost over the winter. We will occasionally throw down some kind of whole grain to encourage more scratching. And it gives them something to do in here. Feeders are in here, nest boxes are in here. We have a hay feeder right there that some chickens are standing on top of. We feed them high quality hay in the winter because we found that it improves several things. One, we did some studies. It keeps their lay rate a little bit higher in the winter. Two, it makes their milk stay yellow. Three, it gives them something to do. An enrichment activity.
Okay.
During hunting season, we will also throw our deer carcasses in here, and they will pick up all the meat, which gives them extra protein at a time when they're not getting as much protein because they're not getting bugs and stuff.
Okay. And then does this open and you clean it out with the tractor then after they go to the...
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. Look at the swan, duck, goose. Oh. No. Yeah. We're allowed to have.
We use the same breed that the conventional industry uses. It's called the Cornish Cross Hybrid. It goes from baby chick to on your plate in just 8 weeks.
8, wow.
8. So industrial chicken is even faster. They're usually butchered at about 5 or 6 weeks. Because they're doing things inside industrial poultry houses to get those chickens even fatter faster, such as cut the lights off during the day so the chickens sit down and sleep instead of walk around and burn any calories. Chickens don't walk, broilers don't walk much, but they won't walk at all if you turn the lights off. And I'm not even talking about any kind of pharmaceutical treatments they might be doing inside those poultry houses. So our broilers, from the first 3 weeks of their lives in the brooder is a warm, dry, safe place for baby poultry. And once they're 3 weeks old, they come out here into a broiler shelter for the rest of their life. Now you might be wondering, why do they have to be kept in this box? You know, if we saw the eggmobile, you would have seen that they're free to range wherever they want to go. They have a shelter, but they're not enclosed in it. The broiler has a shelter, and they are enclosed in it. Because broilers grow so big so fast, they need protection from weather and predators at all times.
Oh.
So 3/4 of the roof are metal, providing shade from the heat and protection from rain. 1/4 of the roof is mesh, so they can sunbathe if they want to. But they're clearly, they're clearly getting plenty of fresh air, sunshine, bugs, grass, and they're kept relatively safe from predators in here. So that's why we use a shelter for broilers. Okay? What we like people to understand about our farming can be summed up by 3 M's. This farming is mobile, modular, management intensive. And these principles apply to all of our enterprises, but I like to talk about it here because it's real clear what I'm talking about. Mobile, modular, management intensive. This does include the movement, and I'll show you that in just a minute. The mobility of what we do is more like the portability of our infrastructure. 90% of our buildings, including things like this, can be driven down the road. Either because they're on wheels, like the Edmobile, or because we can load it on a trailer and drive it down the road. This is important because do you know what the average age of the American farmer is?
Oh, it's up there now, probably 60.
Yeah, it's in the 60s, which is weird and old for the average age of an industry. That's usually when people have headed to retirement, not the average age of an industry's workforce.
Right.
So one of the reasons older farmers can't get out is because younger can't get in. And one of the biggest things keeping people from getting into farming is the cost of land. So what we like to do is teach people to start farming by renting land. But do you want to put permanent infrastructure like a poultry house on rented land? No, because it's probably your dream to buy a piece of land someday if possible and move to it. Or your landlord could always say, hey, you gotta go, I gotta sell the farm, you gotta get off. And so if you want to move, that's a real bummer if you have built a permanent building there, if they even allow you to in the first place. So these, on the other hand, can be loaded on a trailer and driven down the road, allowing you to be mobile if you need to start by renting. Okay? Or whatever. Mobile, modular. Modular means start small, scale up. If you visit here in the summer, we'll have 40 of these or so in the field at any given time. An industrial poultry house, for example, is not modular. That's a gigantic all-in, most likely debt investment of about $1 million just to build a poultry house. Farmers have a hard time ever getting out from the debt of that poultry house because one, that's a big debt to overcome selling cheap chicken, and two, you're constantly having to upgrade and update those poultry houses, making it even harder to get out from underneath that debt. So these, on the other hand, probably cost about $500 to build. Start with one. Fill it with chickens. This holds 75 broilers. Sell your chicken. Now you have enough money to build a second shelter. So this is a way to start a business small and scale it up as you have the means, as you have the desire, as you build your workforce, as you build your market, ideally with little to no debt. Which is better. Okay. Mobile, modular, management intensive. Management intensive is the movement of the animals across the landscape. Cows move every day, Edmobile every day or every other day, pigs every 7 to 10 days. In the case of the broiler shelter, we move every single shelter forward one full spot every single morning. This is how we do that. So this here is a custom-made dolly that we make here on site. Goes up underneath the back of the shelter to get it off the ground by its leash tube. Next, and come here and take out the feeder because it'll just get in the way if you leave it in there. Then literally move this one complete full spot forward. I didn't move it a complete spot forward, but you get the idea. I move it one full spot forward.
Yes.
Once I move it one full spot, then I take out the dolly. Take the dolly to the next shelter. Move it forward one full spot, so on and so forth until I've moved them all one full spot forward. Then after I move them all, I fill up the water bucket. Water, we'll just keep a big cow tank full of water out there. You just dip 2 5-gallon buckets out of that, tote those to every shelter, filling up these buckets. Then water drains by gravity down that black tube into that red bell drinker inside. Then fill up the feeder and put the feeder back in. We'll just put some big metal bins like those behind you out in the field. They're full of feed. Fill up the feeder, put the feeder back in. These will also be in a diagonal arrangement out in the field. You can look this up online. You can see an aerial picture, or we have one inside. They're in a diagonal arrangement which has many purposes. One, no shelter is overlapping any other shelter. The shelter that would be right there they are not touching their poop. But we're covering every square foot of the pasture with valuable nitrogen-rich poultry manure. So we're management intensive, but we're not pharmaceutical intensive. We don't medicate, vaccinate, deworm. Management intensive, but not commercial fertilizer intensive. That stuff is hard on the environment, and its manufacturing and usage, expensive, can be hard to get. All of these animals have fertility coming right out of their butts. So as we move them, we move the fertility. Management intensive, but not chemical pesticide, herbicide, fungicide. We don't use any of that stuff. For one thing, this movement helps prevent the buildup of manure and such, which is what can cause problems in the first place. So management intensive, this movement is a trade-off for all this other stuff. Questions or comments here?
Well, good. Yeah, love it.
Good. Well,
Yeah, I thought you were going to actually use that to pull it with, but no, that's just for the wheels. Okay.
yeah, just the wheels. And in the warmer months in the winter, they're in a hoop house on a deep wood chip bedding. We throw some hay in here usually because they like to build nests with hay. Pigs keep a toilet area, so they poop and pee in the same spot, almost exclusively. So those areas have to be refreshed regularly throughout the winter. We'll put fresh chips on until we reach the point of no return, and then we have to go in with the front end loader and scoop out the toilet area and put fresh chips in.
Is that usually just in the spring, or you have to do it throughout the winter?
Yep.
Oh my goodness.
What are y'all doing?
Because we're standing here.
I don't know what they're doing.
They're excited to see me.
This was a good friendly bunch when they were out on the pasture.
Aww.
How you doing? This group would do a lot of running out on the pasture. What are you doing there? Yeah, I don't want to get bit. I don't want to be bitten.
Will they bite you?
Yeah.
You think you give them food, or you guys
No.
really don't hand feed at all?
No,
No treats.
they're just testing you to see if you're edible. They bite. Yeah. You're looking good.
Yeah, they are.
So when you do have to remove the bedding, you have to move them someplace to a third place, or what do you do with them?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember how we do that. We might load them onto like a pig buggy or into a trailer momentarily, deal with that, and put them back in.
They're beautiful, aren't they?
Yeah, they sure are.
Oh my goodness. We're inside Polyface Farm store, and we might meet Joel. I'm not sure. We'll see. Lots of merchandise. We got food over here, meat, sausage, pork loin. I mean, there's just so much. Okay, guys, we are done our tour. We're leaving. It is 3:30, so it was a 2-hour tour, and what a wonderful experience to just see firsthand, with your own eyes, the things that Andy has learned about Joel Salatin and Polyface Farms.
land. I mean, they have so much land. Just hearing it firsthand from one of the interns was great. She's been there for 12 years. Very, very knowledgeable. And I recommend anybody to go there, take a tour. And having the personal tour, I think, was great. You know, yeah, you can do the big tour, whatever, with a whole bunch of people, but it's a lot faster, a lot less covered, I guess. Really neat, really interesting. Getting motivated.
Yeah. And we just
Get
walked
back and do some stuff.
a mile and a half,
Oh, yeah.
at least.
At least, I don't know if it's a mile and a half one way
Beautiful
out.
day. It's
through the
34
fields and
degrees.
back.
Yeah, exactly.
We were basically walking the entire time. A little bit of
Yeah.
time stopping here to talk, and
And it's 34 right now. I was cool a couple different times, but overall, just being in the sun was just amazing. It was good to exercise after our Thanksgiving
oh, it's a beautiful sunny
Feast.
day,
at our daughters and
not a
son-in-laws.
cloud in the sky.
Yeah. So we are a little tired, but we will. I don't know what we're going to take away from this, because our property is small as far as like applying it for our own lifestyle. But we just have so much knowledge now that we can share and learn from, and that's really what it's all about. So
We're only shy about 959 acres.
sorry. Say that again.
We're only shy 959 acres. I think she said they have 960 there,
Okay.
and they have other property they lease for cattle production and so forth, and other things that they.
Yeah.
So I don't know how much. I think they've got a couple thousand acres total that the Polyface farm is farming. So pretty big operation for what they're doing. And we are going to be on the smallest of small scales of that.